The impeachment trial was yet another interesting example of how well you and Senator Lott wound up working together. He is a conservative, and you certainly have been described as a liberal. Your personalities are very different. Your styles are very different. You're both partisan in your own way. Why do you think you were able to work together as well as you did? I mean, is it accurate to say that you worked well together for the most part? And why was that?
It is accurate, and in fact, I still consider him a good friend today. I think in part because we created the chemistry required for trust and for communication. We talked many times every single day. I think we were thrown in the fires together with impeachment, with 9/11, with the anthrax attack, with the power sharing requirements of 2020, 50-50 Senates. So all of that required that if we were going to govern, we had to find a way to work together. And we both developed, I think, an affection for the other, and therefore a friendship that allowed us to do it a lot more effectively than a lot of people would have guessed.
Did you feel bad for him that he wound up saying what he said and ultimately causing his own downfall as majority leader?
I did. In fact, we talked on several occasions during that time. It was not meant to be what it sounded like it was, and Senator Lott genuinely likes people, and he had a great affection for Strom Thurmond, and I think that it just came out wrong. It wasn't what he had intended it to mean, but because it was so misunderstood, he paid a heavy price.
How would you compare your working relationship with him to your working relationship with Senator Frist when he became the majority leader?
Well, Senator Frist had an entirely different style. He wasn't as much of a personal communicator. He preferred email and Blackberries, and he was much more partisan, far less one to seek consensus and common ground. He, I think, decided that it was his job to carry out the administration's mandates and dictates as much as he could, and so he had to work through that. It wasn't nearly as close or and effective as a relationship as it was with Senator Lott, or before him, I worked with Senator Dole for 2 years.
Did that relationship, which wasn't as close, did that have any effect on policy making, decision making, and ultimately the public interest?
Oh, I think it did, no question. I mean, I think the two leaders have to work together because it sends exactly the right message, when they are working together, about the degree to which chairs and ranking members work together. Senators on the floor have to work together. I mean, if you don't have the comity at the top, you can't possibly expect it to occur anywhere through the ranks. And so people look for signals and look for some indication as to how much cooperation is there going to be. And if there's not much, there won't be much at the lower ranks as well.
He broke with the traditions of the Senate and the etiquette of the Senate, the courtesy in the Senate, by engaging in an active campaign on behalf of your opponent in South Dakota when you were running for re-election. Did you take that personally? How did you react to that?
Well, I was disappointed just because of the comity loss. I mean, just the sense that this was sort of a declaration that our relationship is over. And I fully expected to win, and I was troubled on how we were going to try to work through that. I knew that we both had a job to do, and we'd do the best we could. But it was, in spite of the fact that I was personally affected by it, I think I can objectively say that it really was a blow to the comity required of two leaders as you try to manage the Senate, especially under these difficult circumstances.
You just said you expected to win. At what point did you realize that you weren't going to win?
It wasn't until 2 or 3 o'clock the morning after the day of the election. I mean, we had gone into the election in our own polling showing us a couple of points up, and we felt reasonably confident that it was going to be close, but that we'd pull it out. And Their voter turnout was spectacular. Ours was very, very good, but they made up the difference in that 1 or 2% by a more effective voter turnout than we had.
And do you think that in addition to those local issues that no doubt were enormous factors in your own defeat, that the concerted national campaign that was waged against you by Republican leaders who called you an obstructionist and who accused you of, whenever they could, of not being patriotic enough because you criticized the president about the war from time to time. Do you think that had an impact on the voters in South Dakota?
Oh, I do. It was a moment that the Republicans probably relish, because it doesn't always happen that you have all of the things coming together. You had a very popular president at the time with a war that at that point enjoyed still pretty broad support, with conservative issues like gay marriage and abortion very prominent, and an effective candidate besides. So all of that put together was a tremendous series of events that caused them to be quite successful.
When you made your farewell speech in the Senate chamber, this is perhaps another example of how things have changed. Very few Republicans showed up to hear it. Did that surprise you?
I don't know if it surprised me as much as just disappointed me. I think there was a great deal of peer pressure on Republicans not to come.
From where?
From the White House and from Senator Frist's office, and I think that they were intimidated about coming, and so several members afterward said that they wanted to come, but they were discouraged from coming, and they wanted to express how sad they were at the way this has all played itself out. But then most of them emphasized, please don't say anything about my conversation with you publicly. I'd rather not be quoted on this, but I just want you to know personally.
Final question here. Do you think that Congress is heading toward, if not having already arrived at, what might be called dysfunctionality? Do you think that they're at that point?
I think that there is a real potential for dysfunctionality. I'm concerned about the direction the institutions are going. You know, the so-called nuclear option, which was designed to take away yet another one of the pillars of the institution, that is the filibuster, is an incredible illustration of the degree of lack of reverence and lack of respect for the institutions of this republic. So more of that could be devastating to the institutions themselves. But with good leadership and with some newfound respect that I'm confident could be found, I think you have to be an optimist.
I have to ask you this. Might you run for president someday?
I probably not, but you never say never.
Excellent. Thank you.